story that God wrote, the most beautiful, best story of anyone and for everyone. And the stories within the stories that are what our lives really are, who you really are, Jesus and the Holy Spirit within. The way to God is through Jesus, and we always have the Holy Spirit within. And God wrote every story. God wrote every story. And if you try to rewrite the best books of all time, unless it's really godly and good, God will show you a horror story of hell. And it's scary unless you have God, Ayla. And then when you have God and the Holy Spirit, the gentle Holy Spirit within you that I missed, here's the story. Here's the scary story about the man who tried to kill my father. He rented one of my dad's houses. So many good people who rented the houses for my dad, hundreds of them, thousands maybe, of tenants who moved in and out of houses and knew my dad. When you work for somebody, there's thousands of people who you work for, and you're only married to one, and that's one that you don't move in and out of if you're him or who knows who. And so my dad uh rented to this guy who hated him. He hated my dad. My dad hated him. He hated my dad. And the guy made a blood pact ritual with his son. The guy he serves may have been the devil. And the man who rented the house was one of the worst tenants ever. And he didn't really pay. And he'd work for my dad here and there for like $40, $200, something like that. Back in the days, it was like $80 or $40 or something like that. He'd like do some work for him here and there. And he didn't really pay his rent, and he owed my dad like $3,000. So the man started blaming my dad in some evil occult ways, and he called my dad an N word. He tried to hurt his lips. He tried to give him a messed up problem with his lips, and he blamed him for being an N word. And the man did a blood pact ritual with his son. God told me he did a blood pact ritual with his son. And that's the way to invite demons into your life that torment him. And they almost never let him free unless he has Jesus and the Holy Spirit and God. And so he did a blood pact ritual with his son, and it brought demons and all evil things into his life. And they torment and make his life feel terrible and really, really bad. And the only way is with Jesus. His only way is with Jesus and God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And I told my dad about him on the phone on the other line. uh, not another line, not another line. That really hurt me. And and uh and here's what happened. My dad used the power of the Old Testament, like a big, powerful man of the Old Testament, Moses, and he realized that the man was afraid of California and wouldn't go near it. And the man was trying to kill both of us with his blood pact ritual he made with his son, some tenant of my dad's. He was the only bad tenant that my dad ever had. Every other tenant was godly and good as far as the Lord let us stay here and not venture too far. I don't know, but the man who was the bad guy was good. There's some good in what he did. He has the Holy Spirit, but he made a blood pact ritual with his son, and uh, he tried to kill my dad, and he tried to send me. He tried to he tried to ship me off to Canada, like somebody who avoided the draft, like to make my dad not proud of me or something. But who knows why the devil does things or why the devil made him do shit. So I realized that the only place that the guy didn't know too much about was California. So the only way to get away safely from the guy who did a blood pact ritual with his son was to go to California. He had it mapped out. The guy who was a tenant for my dad. God told me all this stuff, and God told me he was planning to ruin my life. And this happens often. This happens to almost everybody. They try to kill one another with all their heart. They're mean as crap. The only ones who are really godly and good are like children and some young people who haven't learned too much about the sin, and really godly people who don't sin. And that's the best way to not feel bad on earth. All the meanness and all that kind of stuff brings suffering into people's lives. It makes their lives so bad, the sin. And so here's the cool thing about it. Uh, here is what happened. Here's what happened. And uh, the man I found out was afraid of California because he thought if he went down that path of going to California to be famous and stuff, he thought he'd end up like Charles Manson killing people and stuff. And that was his only fear is California. So my only way to be safe away from that man who was trying to kill me, he had the whole in the United States mapped out. He was going to try to ship me off to Canada to make me like a bad guy. And I was born in America. I was a blonde-headed baby born in Salem, Virginia, in a really white part of town. We have black people and nice other kinds of people. And my hair got darker and I looked great. I'm so happy and everything. And I thought my only place to safety was to California to get away from because he was so afraid that if he got really evil as crap, he thought he'd turn into Charles Manson in California or something. And so here's the thing my dad did with his Old Testament power of Moses. Uh he uh he sent the man under my house with the power of God with all his heart. And the man went under my house, was trapped in there in a not in real life. The man was really in like North Carolina or somewhere wherever he lives now. And the man got sent under my house, like his spirit. And my dad said he's dead and he's going to die like Charles Manson under my house. This is a miracle. There's a huge mansion in California where the guy who made Full House, the producer of Full House, he built a brand new house. It's public knowledge. They have videos on it. He built a brand new, huge mansion in California, in Los Angeles, the big, hugest producer of Full House. He has $200 million. He spent about 100 million or 80 million on this new construction house, and it was the site where Charles Manson was killed. And I guess they did some kind of evil thing to kill him in real life, some occult thing that I'm not aware of. But it's a site where Charles Manson's, uh, you know, I don't know if the people really did it in real life, but it's the site where the Tate family killed all those people and crap in California. And that's all we really know. But it's a godly place. It's a really godly place. And so the guy, producer of Full House, cleared out all the evil spirits. They probably said prayers for God and Jesus. It's a really beautiful place. And they have a beautiful brand new house. And it was built on the site where all the Charles Manson murders happened. So I thought I was like afraid of it. And I thought that it might be bad or something. And God showed me that now my dad in the ways of Moses in the Old Testament, there's this evil guy who did a blood pack ritual and he's afraid of going to California to be like Charles Manson. He thought he'd do some evil thing like Charles Manson. So he hid away like and he was gonna try to kill me and make me the bad guy in the US and stuff. And my dad sent him with the power of Moses. He sent his spirit under my house in a godly cage, like in hell. And he's going to die there under my house. And he's going to die like Charles Manson. And, it's the power of God who is making the man die, who had tried to torment me and my father with a blood pact ritual he made with his son. He tried to kill my father and call him an N-word and stuff. Like he tried to put purple lips into my father by taking the blood circulation out of his lips. It made it blue, and it gave him a problem. And my dad used the power of Moses and God to allow God to kill the man, and he will be buried under my house. And my dad didn't do it. My dad is a military man who only does things for God. There's a time to kill for people in the military and the police, and there are maybe the only select few who can do it. Don't ever hurt anyone in real life. The way to heaven is with Jesus. I don't hurt anyone. I never hurt anyone. And so, those kinds of things are okay. So instead of me buying the guy's house in California and being the king of California and buying the house for 100 million or 80 million or whatever, trying to get enough money to be the coolest, biggest guy ever, like the guy who produced Full House, is kind and good and has God and Jesus, probably going to make it right to heaven. But I was so afraid of him. I thought, oh, he built it on the side of the Charles Manson murders. I thought he might be bad, but God made me like him to show me how godly and good the man was for making a place holy, any more holy than any other land where they had wars or people died or who knows who was killed on the cursed soil that God made the soil of the earth cursed. There's only so much we can do about it, and it's the sin of the earth. And we have Jesus. We have Jesus. We have Jesus. So don't end up like Charles Manson, because he's probably gonna. You can't even judge him. He might not even burn in hell. Who knows? So, and my dad and I have an inside joke about Charles Manson. We look down on him. We think he's like he's not cool, and he's like, Charles Manson, and like we don't like Charles Manson, but maybe Marilyn Manson is okay. Maybe Marilyn Manson's okay, and we can't judge anyone. So that's the story about how God punished some man who tried to be like Charles Manson, or thought that he was like a mean person, did a blood pack ritual. The son invited demons to his life and stuff. So his soul is under my house in a cage that my dad sent, and I don't know if it's real. It may be crazy, but God told me about these things because it didn't happen in real life. I don't hallucinate. I know it's real. There's no man under my house, and if he is buried, one day he'll be buried in a godly way that maybe Native Americans are buried here and stuff too. And it's a way that I got to keep my house and stay in Virginia instead of going out to California to be the biggest, richest one who owned the coolest house in California that there is a guy who well, maybe not the coolest house, but one of the best ones that I think is really cool. It costs like $80 million or 140 million or something, maybe 200 million, maybe 200 million, and make his net worth go up to some a little bit more than who knows what. Oh, I got to get out of here. Okay, that's something God did. And I thought I'd tell you the story about what God does that we can't see, the godliness we can't see. God punishes those who are mean and bad. He's not always godly and good. And he loves all of us. And he even wants that Charles Manson guy to get into heaven. And he wants the guy in California to get into heaven, the big producer who has a bunch of money. And you don't end up in hell just because you have a bunch of money.